Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we're going to take a look at the top 10 buffs for Season 19. Those are not final yet because we don't know the Swift energy. We're gonna take a look here today at the 35 energy Swift, which we don't know if it's going to be exactly the case. Could be also 40, but 35 is the only way those would be viable. So hopefully you enjoy this type of videos. If you do, feel free to leave a like and subscribe. Before we start the video, I have to say as well real quick that a lot of the buffs that you're gonna see here today are actually more impactful than I expected that they would be. So definitely stay tuned for all of the buffs here today because some actually kind of surprised me. Anyway, starting off, Scrafty. Scrafty getting Thunder Punch. Thunder Punch being 40 energy, 55 damage, not being a great move at all, but it's good coverage, especially for fighting type Pokemon that are weak to flying type Pokemon. That is kind of nice for them. And so we're going to see here Scrafty being an interesting pick, because you have usually, of course, the move, the Power Punch as well as the Foul Play. So what do you want to get rid of? Foul Play is just the best neutral move for this Pokemon. Power Punch is really important for the two-shield scenario. We're gonna get rid of the Power Punch because it's going to eliminate the luck factor, or like the factor of being in the right position where you can really boost up with it. It's way easier to play this Pokemon because it's kind of more straightforward, and I think it is the best play as well. You see, it actually gains an average rating of 26 average here, which is kind of good. But if you're going to take a look at the Pokemon that you beat, it's going to be Pelipper and Mandibuzz, but there are also some that you're going to be losing against. Alone Ninetales here with Powder Snow, by the way, if you wonder how a Dark and Fighting type Pokemon can win against this. Here with Power Punch in the two-shield scenario, we would be able to win against it. But yeah, most of the matchups that you see here that you lose are on the two shields, and the ones that you win are kind of in earlier shields. Not too sure if this is going to be actually the way you want to go for Scrafty, but again, like who's playing Scrafty anyway in the current meta, it's kind of tough, but it is definitely a side grade. It's not going to be a downgrade, really. It is going to be something that you can run, but you don't have to run. It's going to be an interesting one. Definitely going to take a look at this one on the channel as well, so feel free to subscribe if you want to see that. Next Pokemon, it's going to be just a Pokemon that is only getting a buff here, because Seed Bomb gets plus 5 energy, plus 5 damage, not energy. Plus 5 energy would be actually a nerf. Plus 5 damage here, we're going to see that you're going to have a plus 2 average. Isn't this great? But here, at least, we're going to see as well that you're going to lose against Gligar, which doesn't make sense on the right side. Must be a PvP poke bug there. But as you're going to see here, we're going to be able to get at least 2 more wins, which is going to be against Poliwrath and Cresselia. No losses, of course, because it's just a buff. Like, there is no drawbacks about this one. And so, it's going to be an interesting Pokemon. I think it's a good Pokemon to use, by the way, right now. So definitely, if you have one, maybe give it a go. But Dartrix, definitely an interesting one with the new Seed Bomb buff. You know what's also interesting with the new Seed Bomb buff? Trevenant. This Pokemon is mostly the best one for this buff here, as you're gonna get some more damage onto it. And as you're gonna see, we're gonna get an average rating by 1. And as we know those kind of videos, usually there are more impactful changes. This is not down to me not finding them. It's down to Niantic basically barely changing anything for the new season. Unless like 5 extra Pokemon or something, which you're gonna see later on. But at least here, you're going to be able to also win some more matchups with Poliwrath in the 1 shield, and Lone Ninetales in the 2 shields, and the Vigoroth in the 0 shields, which is quite interesting. So this Pokemon definitely going to benefit a little bit of it, and I think it's decent change because it definitely does not make this Pokemon too broken. It just makes this Pokemon more usable as well, which is kind of cool, so I like this one. Moving on, here we're gonna start going into the kind of awkward ones, because we don't know if it's 35 or 40 energy yet. I'm going by 35 because if it's 40, you definitely don't want to use it, but even with 35, which you're going to see here, the average rating is going to decrease by 8 average, but you're going to win some more matchups, but also you're going to lose some more matchups, and so it's kind of a hit or miss one. As you're going to see here, we see some matchups that you can win and also some that you can lose here with the Wigglytuff in both variants. By the way, if you didn't know, if there is like something in the minus and also in the plus category here, this is just different kind of shield scenarios. For example, here you're going to lose in the 0 shield scenario against other Wigglytuff. Why? Because the Disarming Voice does more damage, and so they can win this in the 0 shield scenario because they can only get to like 1 charge move, and compared to Swift, it just does more. And so like other Wigglytuffs with the old moveset would win in the 0 shields. But you win in the 1 shield scenario just because you outspeed them, because you can shield 1 charge move from the opponent, then just go for double Swift and win the game like this. So yeah, basically that's what's going to happen if they're like Pokemon multiple times in here in both categories. It's just different shield scenarios. But again, like a lot of people were like, oh, you cannot really put a 35 energy move on Wigglytuff. I don't think it would be like too bad. I don't think it would be like too great either. Like I don't really want to have Wigglytuff being buffed even further. But maybe you're gonna see like a Charm rebalance update where you're gonna get like a little bit less damage and maybe like a little bit more energy would be kind of interesting. But yeah, so far Wigglytuff is going to maybe benefit from it. If it's 40 energy, I doubt it's going to be better because just disarming voice makes more sense as it does more damage. Next one. Again, we don't know about the Swift update. Here it is really impactful as well. What you're gonna see here as well is that we're gonna be able to win quite a few more matchups. And here it depends on what kind of fast move you want to run. Swift is always going to be better, most likely over Trailbase, just because it's your cheapest move, no matter what it's going to be, unless it's going to be like 45 energy, which I doubt. But basically, if it's 35, counters most likely your best, as you can get to the move after just 5 fast moves. And if it's 40 energy, most likely Shadow Claw's your best bet here, as you're gonna still get there after 5 fast moves. But as you can see here, it's definitely a clear update for the Ursaring, which is kind of cool. I kind of want to use this Pokemon as well a little bit, but it's not going to be too impactful because the Pokemon is not too impactful, but hopefully it's 35 energy just to play the Ursaring a little bit more. Next one is going to be Uxie. Uxie, having access to Confusion, Future Sight, and Thunder is the best moveset currently. Definitely benefits from the Swift update here. Again, 35 energy would be kind of needed for this one, because I think you can get there after 3 Confusions instead of 4, which is a huge deal, by the way. Like, that makes a huge difference. As you can see, there are quite a lot of matchups that you can win. Only in the Zero Shield scenario, you're going to lose more matchups. Why is it the case? As you can see here, with the current moveset, Future Sight is a very hard-hitting Psychic type move. In the Zero Shield scenario, with like, yeah, no shields on both sides, and you have like a ton of bulk on the Uxie, you always can kind of go for a Future Sight and do just tremendous amount of damage against anything in the meta. You don't really have this option anymore because you kind of rather want to have the Thunder coverage anyway. And so in the Zero Shields, you're going to lose a lot. In any other shield scenario, you don't lose a single matchup with the Uxie. And so definitely a Pokemon that would benefit quite a bit from the Swift update. Next one. This is one of the ones that actually surprised me the most. I was thinking this is more of a meme update. And it might actually still be just more of a meme update, to be fair. But I think it actually has a lot of potential. This thing actually gates play +8 wins here, which is kind of cool. But the Pokemon that you win against are actually quite good, honestly. Like something like a Dugong, a Dragonair, a Gastlord, a Lickitung, a Registeel, a Stunfisk, like here, of course, Galarian Stunfisk, Vigoroth, stuff like this. Like top tier meta Pokemon you actually win against now with counter Lokix, which is kind of hilarious. Extra Dark Pulse giving you a double coverage as well in like step ways, because Extra Step, Dark Pulse Step. Extra great move as well in general, going to be 40 energy, 65 damage, just like Surf. It's a cool Pokemon. I think it's a good one. I think it's going to be an interesting one. And I can also try this one out in the Ultra League, and that's going to be an interesting one as well. So a Pokemon I'm definitely looking forward to, definitely something interesting. Speaking of something interesting, Clefable with Swift. Here's the deal. If it's 40 energy, drop Swift. Like, you don't need Swift, because you have, for 50 energy, the Media Mesh, which is 100 damage. Swift is 55 damage. So for 10 more energy, there is no real reason, like it's actually literally just one fast move extra to give up 45 damage and the coverage, because Media Mesh at least can give you coverage, while Swift is always going to be either resisted by Steel and Rock type Pokemon or Ghost type Pokemon, while, yeah, at least Media Mesh can be super effective against something like a Carbink as well, which you're gonna see here as well. You're going to lose against Carbink now. But with the baits, the average increases by quite a bit here. I think it still would be balanced though, because it's with baits. Basically, not going to be able to get the bait all the time correctly here. For PvP Poke, it says that you always get the bait correctly. As you're gonna see here with 35 energy, this would actually definitely help this Pokemon out quite a bit, but it is still a little bit hit or miss, because Swift does basically not a lot of damage here for this Pokemon, and you give up a lot of damage. So would be kind of curious. It definitely would be the most overpowered one with Swift if it would be 35. But again, if you have 40 energy on this thing, you would most likely never use it, because it's just one extra fast move to go for the Media Mesh. That's just way more damage. And so I doubt that this would be really impactful. It's 40 energy. That's why I can hope that Swift is 35 energy. But we have to see if this actually is going to be the case. Next one, again, one that actually kind of surprised me a little bit more, Cetitan. We're not going to take a look here at Cetoodle. Cetoodle for the Great League might be even a little bit better, because you have quite a little bit more bulk there, like 100 or something. It's not like crazy or whatever, but it's a little bit bulkier. But as you're going to see here, the average rating increases by quite a lot. And also, the matchups that you can win are quite nice for this thing. So Cetitan is definitely something to look forward to. I think it's going to be a Pokemon that we might see quite more often in the Open Great League. I can't see it in the actual tournaments too often because the typing is just pretty bad with just being a pure ice type, being weak to like rock, the fighting, the fire, yeah, like so many steel typing stuff like this. Like all of this is going to be very difficult for this Pokemon to deal with. So it's just purely offensive and like an offensive typing in general, and so it's going to be a very solid Pokemon to use for that kind of reason, but it is going to be a tough one to use in general for like a defensive typing, and like a lot of times like defensive typing is more important than offensive typing, which you see something like Whiscash being available, which is a great defensive typing because you only have one weakness in grass, and so I doubt that this Pokemon is going to be too impactful, but it's definitely going to be a good one to use, and especially for limited metas. Final one for today, actually. It's going to be our Typhlosion. Having added Thunder Punch, I did not really expect that it would be too impactful. I know it was like definitely going to have this Pokemon, but it actually is really good, like plus 66 average rating, and there are quite a lot of matchups they can now win, which is kind of wild. You can always win against Mantine, I think, in like the 2 shields and 1 shields, which is kind of mad, but as you're gonna see, the amount of Pokemon they can beat now are kind of insane, even for the Pokemon that you're going to lose against. Like a Azumarill, like I think that's the 0 shield scenario for Azumarill, where you can go for a Solar Beam and just boom them away. For Galarian Stunfisk, that does not make sense that you lose against it, because you would always go for Blast Burn against it, so like I don't know where this really coming from, but like P-Poke is sometimes a little bit weird. But anyway, like you basically have mainly just positive results from this one, and it has like so much versatility as well. If you go for this one as a closer, where you would mostly rather want to have Incinerate, like this Pokemon is going to be insane. If you want it as a Safe Swap, you can go for Shadow Claw. This Pokemon would be insane. I can't wait to play this one. I think it's going to be a great Pokemon to use, and definitely the best upgrade for the season. So it's not going to be the most impactful season. I still think it's going to be better to play because of the nerfs that we have, which you might go and take a look in another video as well. But yeah, this is going to be it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to leave a like, and I'll see you then. Bye bye.